中集権のメディアはもう終わりだ。
真相から立ち上るインクと真実がぶつかる。リバヤさんニュース開かれ海嘘はない。読んで書いて氷結しろ。力はみんなのもの。いい霞をたたえろ。ニュースは君のものだ。レバヤさんニュース。レバヤさんニュース。
Oh man, every time I go through this intro, I'm like, the first time I was disturbed, and now every time I like it a bit more.
Yeah, it's a great intro. Shout out Arcus for that great one. I can't even tell you how many compliments we've been getting on that intro. And I keep saying that my best opportunist move so far in 2026 was asking him to do something for us. So shout out Arcus. ARQUS, look him up on X. He's been doing some great stuff with actually also Regnum Aurum and Convex. If you're looking for someone to do cool videos for whether it's Polaris or whether it's Pharos that we're going to talk about today, I definitely recommend you check him out. And if you want, I will connect. I think he's brilliant. So shout out Arcos, and what's up everyone, the advisor here, we're on Leviathan News, and I'm again here with really one of my favorite people in the space, the mad stablecoin scientist, Token Bryce. How are you, my friend? What's up?
I'm doing good, thank you, and thanks for the invitation. Always a pleasure.
Always
I'm putting some tweets and some stuff out to make sure we have a big crowd.
Always an honor, and actually always something new with you, I must say, especially ever since Claude has entered everyone's life. I think you're just becoming more and more prolific, even than what you are. So you were actually just here basically last month, and we talked about Polaris. Maybe it was end of January, actually, when I think about it.
Yep.
But already, like in the past weeks, ever since, while you guys are working on Polaris, you've actually created another new tool this time, starting with a P as well, Pharos. So
Yep.
I'm actually very curious to learn from you about what it is. And by the way, you are also our Squid Pass holder for the month.
Finally, after like months of trying.
Shout out to you, one of the best customers ever. And shout out to the previous ones at Regnum Aurum. Thank you so much. And Florian, thank you for the competition. But really, it is hard to compete with Token Bryce when he decides to bid. And one of my ways to increase the bids on these auctions is to go to the secret weapon that's called Token Bryce and try to entice him to bid on something. And the price keeps being pushed up. So always good on my side. So Bryce, take us, first of all, give us a bit of an intro for it. I will also share the X links a bit while you do it, but try to give some kind of an introduction that, okay, how did the whole Pharos thing even come about? Like, what made you, how did you think about it? What made you actually decide to build it? What differentiates it from?
It's unique, man. So many features are not much, but yeah, we're gonna go. Don't worry.
Just give us like the intro. What made you do it?
So initially, I made it just for myself. I wanted to see. I'm tracking a lot of what's happening on.
The classic. I made it just for myself.
Literally, yes.
A winner.
Because I'm tracking a lot of things that are happening on stablecoin. I'm using tons of tools, and they all have their problem, their weakness, the things I wish they had. So I really built it without pretension at first, like, oh, okay, this is going to be my own dashboard. And then I'd say about 2 or 3 days in, I was already pretty impressed with what I had. But back then I didn't have much, I just had peg tracking and maybe some basic liquidity scoring on 120 stablecoin, and that was about it. But that was like 3 days in, like maybe 2 or 3 hours of coding, and I was a bit retarded with code back then. I've stepped up my game a lot since I started Pharos. So essentially, as it went through and I added more features and I started to be able to do more interesting things, I realized it could interest other people. And then I checked the domain. I thought a bit about the name, and I fell in love with Pharos. And then I checked that I saw the Pharos.watch domain, which is a pretty good one, was available for like $40 or something. I was like, what? So I bought that. And then when I got the domain, like the domain is a step, because obviously it wasn't just a personal tool anymore. I was like, okay, now I have Pharos.watch. Hell, let's make it into something decent. So I keep
A product is born.
a product is born, yes. And essentially, I think the key thing to understand Pharos is really about, so, and it's also the story of how I built it. And I kind of tell it a bit in the about page. Let me start sharing if I can find the freaking page. Yes.
I can, once you share the screen, I will pop it up. Okay, cool, great.
So
Okay.
it's really started, the what Pharos track section is, I would say, pretty basic up to
First
this.
of all, people, like you said, people can go and find it at pharos.watch, yes?
Yes, Pharos.watch.
Pharos.watch. If you're tuning in already, which actually we have more people than usual because we have your channels as well. Shout out to the viewers on Twitch as well, on Token Price's Twitch. If you want to try and follow, go to pharos.watch and try to understand what's up.
So yeah, I think the real value of Pharos initially was more about the upper section here, so collating all that data in one place and essentially being a kind of DeFi Llama plus plus bonus, but really super focused on stablecoin. And so that means, going a bit more extensively that what DeFi Llama can do, and especially stuff like the blacklist tracker I couldn't find anywhere. Which is, just literally all the blacklisting event happening on the major centralized stablecoin. We'll go through the features after. But I think the real values is in the what Pharos compute section. Because now I have all those datas, right? I essentially have the whole pulse of the stablecoin market. So now what can I do? I can compute some scoring on the peg. I can compute some scoring on the liquidity. But now I have all of that. So maybe I can compute some scoring on the effective risk level because I also have very qualitative data on the stablecoin. We will see in a minute, but what their reserve is made of, all the stablecoins are categorized and so on. Now I have the collateral of each stablecoin, so I can build a dependency or a contagion map like this, clearly showing you who is depending on what. And one of the one I'm the most proud of is the Pharos Stability Index, which is essentially a meta indicator of the whole market that kind of gives you the stress level of the stablecoin market, right? And then when I built it, my head exploded because I got this chart at first and it wasn't annotated, And then I was like, wait a minute, all those dates where I see a major blip in the rating, I know those dates, something happened that day. And essentially every single blip of this indicator is tied to a major traumatic event that happened on the stablecoin market. The Tether scare, the Quadriga 6 collapse, Iron Finance blowing up, the Fed crash, UST collapse, or the SVB weekend are the main ones. So this one is a really interesting indicator. And by the way, not to stress you out, but you can see it's been lowering quite a bit recently. We're not in the danger zone yet, but it is kind of dropping.
What are you showing there? Which token are you talking about?
We are talking about the whole stablecoin market, bro. The whole 145 that I'm tracking right now. All are taking part in that indicator. It's like the pulse of the stablecoin market. That's what this Pharos Stability Index is. So, on the day of...
So basically, it's like a measurement of, in general, how stable are stable, like the general metric of how
Exactly.
stable are stable.
So events that have a big contagion effect, you see how fast it reacts on the SVB weekend because you have a lot of big stablecoin depegging at once. The thing dropped from 90 to like 15 in not even a day. With the UST collapse, it was similar, but it sustained a bit longer because UST had so much size. So every stablecoin contributes to that, but they contribute proportionate to their market cap. So of course, if a $30 million stablecoin blows up, it's going to be a blip in that because it doesn't matter on a hundred, I don't know, 300 billion total market. But no, if even just USDC is having a little 8% depeg, which is not huge, but USDC itself is so huge, boom, you see it in the indicator. So I'm really excited to see, because right now it's been applied mostly retroactively. I collected the 10 years of data, but I'm really excited to see how it's going to behave in the future, this one, the Faro Stability Index. And this is one of the most mature feature that I've built because I'm testing a lot in prod. So maybe, yeah, it's important for people to know. I added this today. On each feature page, you will see this little note on the top, feature status mature. It's just to kind of give you an idea because some features are like status testing in prod. So that really means, don't make investment or what. I mean, you shouldn't make investment based on my data anyway. I'm not a financial advisor. It's not a financial advising tool, blah, 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 blah. But this gives you an idea of how reliable the data is. So the core feature are pretty stabilized now. But there are some stuff like the one in the experimental section, especially. Like this one literally is just collecting data for now. And I was too lazy to hide it from the front end. So yeah, check that if you're checking Pharos. Um, but yeah, I
Where
guess
would
we
you?
could.
Where
Yeah.
would you? Go ahead. Go. Sorry.
No, I said maybe we can go just like step by step in the menu and kind of walk through all the
Yeah,
interesting
exactly.
things.
I want to ask. I want to ask you, like, okay, where should first of all, who is it for, and like, where should people start? Like, what if it's like like, is it only for very savvy users? Is it also
No.
for
No, it's
beginner?
really for everyone, I think, because one of the main things you can do on Pharos, and I think outside of all these features, they kind of collate on a stablecoin specific page, is, if you just don't know, you heard about a stablecoin on Twitter, like, I don't know, USDAI, I'm seeing a lot of tweet about it, and you have no freaking clue what it is. Well, you just search it on Pharos, and you kind of immediately get a sense of it. So safety score, C minus. Okay, that doesn't sound so good, but why? Well, peg stability is an A minus 80, seems good. Liquidity is not so bad, but not so good. And apparently it's losing points in decentralization mostly and dependency risk. Okay, so it kind of, just out of the score, indicates to you this is a pretty centralized coin that have dependencies on other stable coins, and that's why it's getting hammered so hard in the rating. But then as you keep scrolling, the data is essentially a bit more dense. Okay, so why is that? Here you have a quick summary of the coin that will give you, a bit what is it about. So as the name will suggest, it's about AI and real-world assets as centralized dependence with human oversight. And this is AI generated, by the way, but it's very good. And it concludes, while the AI branding does the marketing work, whether the AI label reflects genuine innovation or narrative arbitrage is left as an exercise for the reader. Because as you can see, this is essentially wrapping some centralized stablecoin, and then you have a very small portion of the backing that is some GPU collateralized loans for AI. So this USD AI is essentially 1% loans for AI related stuff and 99% wrapped T-bill or PYUSD or other coins. So you kind of have a quick idea of what it is, and as you keep scrolling, you get more details. You will get information about the collateral, jurisdiction, the reserve, contact address, and so on. And then more analysis on the liquidity, the mint burn, and the DPEGs event. So you can see this thing has been not pretty good at PEG because it's not so old, right, until August, and you already have all those events. And that can I explain to you why it's getting not such a good PEG stability score of 80. So that's, I think, is one of the main use case of Pharos. And what's really unique here is essentially having all that information about the stable in one place, right? It's hours and hours of Claude doing research that I structured myself, and then I verify the research and I incorporate. And especially this reserve composition, I think is quite unique because, depending on the coin, some are pretty transparent about it, but most are not so transparent. So it's really hard that you will have something as clear as that. Um, so yeah.
Where
By
is
the
all,
way, yeah, go for
where
it.
is all the data coming from?
So it's on the methodology page. You will get a bit of an overview of the main data source, maybe no, in about, yes, here. My data pipeline in terms of what I'm fetching. So those are all the APIs I'm using. But essentially, Pharos as overall is structured over three sources: on-chain, DeFi Llama, and CoinGecko, and with sanity checks of one against each other. And then for the data I was just showing you, the reserve composition and things like that, it's essentially skills that I built for Claude that do some research, and then I validate the research manually. So I will launch a Claude, research on 1050 coin, find the reserve composition, and then I will verify myself. So it's a bit of both. I said in a tweet, this is 7 years of stablecoin autism put into a website, and there is a bit of that, and that's the beauty of what Claude enables here.
That's extremely cool, and shout out to you for actually using like this the amazing abilities of Claude to so quickly create something so useful for the DeFi community and the stablecoin community. Let's choose a stablecoin, whether it's USD AI that you've shown or whatever else you feel like choosing. And
maybe we were with the Llama still, so we can go on CRV-USD, right?
Whatever you want. And
it's
then,
one of the top rated.
And by the way, take us through like what a beginner can conclude about it. First of all, like the general metric that a beginner would probably search and enjoy, and then maybe dive deeper into like the more complex metrics that a more savvy user can use the Pharos to explore CRV-USD or any other stablecoin for that matter.
Sure. So I think most of the interesting stuff for someone is really on the beginning of the page. That's why I structured it like that. So this overall safety score, and we can talk a bit more about this later. And then the AI summaries that are pretty good, and the reserve composition. Because all of these together give you a pretty good idea of what the stablecoin does, what it is, how it works, and what are the main risks to watch for. So yeah, for CRV-USD, you'll find that it's a B score, and the ratings are pretty brutal. So B score is actually one of the best ratings. Maybe I need to adjust that. I don't know. And you can see that it used to have very good peg stability. Lately, it's been a bit less stable, but the peg stability is really computed over the whole life of the stablecoin. So recent depegs, but not so big and not so prolonged, will not affect the score so much. It needs to be sustained for a decent amount compared to the life of the stablecoin to be able to have an impact. The liquidity is decent, but not as good as we would have hoped for CRV-USD, and we can see right below. But it has a pretty good resilience because it's using medium risk collateral. You have the composition here, so wrap Bitcoin mostly and other Bitcoin variants and some staked ETH essentially. And it's fully on-chain with no blacklist features. So really my risk scoring tries to be all-encompassing. That's why if we go quickly in the safety score, you'll see what tops it are both, massive stable coins like USDC and Tether. They're doing very well because they have extremely good liquidity and no dependency to other projects. But what tops it as well is stablecoins that are pretty decentralized in their design. So you will find FRX USD, you will find Bold and LUSD somewhere, CRV USD, DAI, USDS Go. All of these are doing pretty well in the ranking. So yeah, in terms of a newcomer coming to that, I would say the sidebar is pretty much top to bottom. Stability index, we went through it, but it's pretty easy to understand. The safety score are kind of similar. You can just, and I love this page, because it's like, it feels like in a video game when you're picking your character, and you can see that at the same grade, you have stable coins that have very different shape, in terms of specialization, essentially. So you can see that, USDC is all about like liquidity, peg, and minimize dependency, versus for a stablecoin like Bold, the liquidity dimension is much less big, but it's gaining a lot in decentralization and resilience compared to USDC, and that's why it's able to achieve a similar grade. So you can really see the shape of the stable here, and I find it very
actually really reminds me of DeFi Scan. This like 5.
Of course, in a way, In a way, yeah. There's definitely some learnings from DeFi scan in there. Um, Another one that I find very cool is this dependency map. And this one is taking the top 50 of stablecoin only, but it's showing you the relationship between them. So if you take a primary stable, as I call them, USDC or USDT, of course, they don't have link connecting them to anyone themselves. They're not dependent on nothing. They're dependent on T-bills or banks. But then you can see they have a lot of links going to them. So, this AVI USD, for instance, has a direct link, and if you go on it, 90% collateral USDC. Okay, this Syrup USDC is a wrapper, so 100% dependency.
Man,
This
this is cool.
Syrup USDT, same thing. We have
It's a
also
very,
relation.
a very cool animation of it, or whatever you call it.
Yes. So, like, if you take a Go, for instance, and you see there is two links going, what is that? It's essentially a link going to DAI because 18% of the collateral is DAI, and another link going to USDC because 13% of the collateral is USDC. So you can really navigate the coins like this. So if we take dollar, it's dependent on USDE, 15% collateral. It's dependent for mechanism on USDS because it has some kind of PSM on USDS, and so
When
on.
it's Bryce, when it says dependent, like, is there like a minimum percentage
Um,
that
you
makes
you
it
can
dependent?
see it. So you see it on the arrow. If you go on the arrow, you see the percentage. 8% dependency through a mechanism, for instance, for the relationship, the dependency of dollar to USDS. If you go on Frax has 42% collateral that is billed, the T-bill token. So you will see it. Bill is, by the way, another coin that is starting to be quite a center of a node on this map. It has USDE, USDTB.
This is the BlackRock stablecoin, no?
Yes, that's a BlackRock stablecoin indeed. So you can kind of see the stable coins. What I wanted to show with this map is the stable coins that are becoming kind of, primary, as I call them. And obviously, USDC, USDT, yeah, okay, Bryce, we didn't needed a map for that, but we can realize how much they are. Um, but also for instance, I realize, just like you realize now, that this build is starting to be at the center of quite a few things. I had no freaking clue. Frax, FRX USD, the new Frax, USDTB, USDE, CUSD. There are quite a few connecting to him. So, and you can see that USDE is a bit in the same situation. It has both things. It has people using it for yield, but it also has other coins using USDE as source of yield. So this one is a bit of a double thing. It's pretty interesting. But yeah, this map is pretty insightful to navigate. I think I'm still working on refining it, but it's pretty cool. This is honestly mostly for the liquidity geeks. You will get some stats on all the pools I'm tracking and things like that. But what's interesting here is because I collect all this data on stablecoin, maybe it's more interesting if you go on a specific stable. So each stablecoin has a decent liquidity analysis conducted. And even if you're not so interested into the details of that data, what it means is then I can compute the liquidity score. And this is pretty insightful because, of course, a stable can have the two primary things before I even start to care. Can this thing hold the peg? And can I buy it, sell it in size without moving the price massively? So the scoring really reflects that. Um, to be specific, actually, the scoring of the safety score, because we touched on it, but I didn't talk about it so much. It's essentially a 4-dimension scoring. So it's based on liquidity, resilience, decentralization, and dependency, right? And the peg, it comes into play as a multiplier of the score obtained from the first 4. So it really reflects that relationship that, your stablecoin can be all nice and cute, but if it's at 70 cents most of the time, who gives a fuck? So that's really like this, and this is the math behind it really works like that. So if the thing is at 99 cents most of the time or often, it will not be too harshly penalized. But if you take some pretty bad stablecoin in terms of peg, for instance SUSD, it's getting destroyed, safety score 0, because essentially the peg is the peg score is also at 0, so it's getting pretty much multiplied by 0, and the whole rating is destroyed.
Yeah,
You can see the base rating. Yeah,
one metric goes to 0, the whole thing goes to 0.
not the whole thing. The peg plays this special multiplicator role. The others are additive, but the peg, because it's so critical for a stablecoin to keep peg, like I wouldn't see my app giving a C to a SUSD when the shit has been at like depegged 2000 BPS at least for 6+ months. It's insane, the depeg on SUSD. Fucking Kane is going around Twitter and launching some more bullshit project, but look at this. This is a total lack of respect of anyone caring about SUSD. Like the current deviation started November 5. And it's not like, oh, it was an event. No, if you look about it, it actually, the depeg situation started 2 years ago or something like that at this point. So it's really not able to keep peg at all. And so the score
SUSD
should
is
reflect that.
it's the synthetics
Yes,
stablecoin or what?
synthetic stablecoin. That's what it is. So
That's
that's a pretty good example.
Can you also like see the ranks on Pharos? I'm guessing. Like, can it show me the most?
Yeah,
like,
that's a safety
like
score
let's
page.
say even from a liquidity standpoint or
Yeah.
any other metric. Like, if I
So
want to know what's the most liquid stablecoin, what's the least
course.
liquid stablecoin, like
Yeah, you can do that.
some stuff like that.
So straight from the dashboard, the main dashboard, you have the peg score and the liquidity score, and you can operate this rating. So you can sort by liquidity score or by peg score. By peg score, maybe it's not so interesting because most of the stablecoin, they're able to hold a peg all right. So you have a lot of people in the 95 plus range. But maybe the peg score negative ranking is pretty interesting, because here you will find SUSD. SUSD. And when we're talking about peg, this one is interesting because it just started to depeg today. So the USD. But what happened with this one is my depeg tracker picked it earlier and put it as a high risk of depegging. You can find a Pharos tweet just a few hours ago when it was still at like 98 cents or something. So it wasn't so badly depegged at this point. But since then, it's been getting hammered. So essentially, this is, I'm pretty proud of. It's a bit of I'm still working on refining the feature, but it's showing signs that it might be working pretty okay. And essentially, it looks at liquidity, it looks at minting flow, and various other things to anticipate when it starts to smell bad for a given peg. So you have the peg score that is backward facing, right? It's looking at the history and how the stablecoin was able to hold this peg over time. And this one is looking more into the future. Like, what are the signs that we're getting now to that tells us something about the peg? So you see, it's mostly a constellation. Like, all those little stars outside are the Calm stablecoin. There is nothing to worry about. Those are your USDC, USDT, and whatsoever in normal functioning. But then you have those in the watch that already are showing some signs. And those signals are not by themselves enough. It could just be that they have a lot of activity, that there are a lot of meeting, a lot of swapping whatsoever. PMUSD is there, for instance. What others? Frax is in there in watch. Where it gets interesting in when they start to cross that alert zone and even warning, because usually this is pretty correlated with data. So this one is a very small one, and it's hard to tell. Maybe I should remove the tracking for it. But yeah, I think it's a very cool feature, and I love this design. I went a bit crazy on the design. We'll
Very,
see about
very cool. Like, so the closer it is to the middle, the worse.
exactly the worst. Yes. And the color gets more dramatic. So this one is a yellow in alert.
What's
but
the
if
peg there on that yellow one right now, for
So
example?
that's the thing is it's a very small stable. I'm having trouble getting data. It's on a weird fucking chain. Some
So basically, you're also like tracking a huge amount of stable coins there. Like, you're not just
145 total. Yes.
Wow. How many of them are on mainnet? And like, let's ask it in a different way. Like, 95% of the liquidity belong to how many tokens of the market cap, liquidity, whatever?
I mean, if you do it like this,
Probably much less. No, probably much less.
yeah, because look at this chart. This is literally, I wanted to show that too. So this is
Go
the
ahead.
total stablecoin market cap, but in green is the share of USDT. So you can see it's like 2/3 of the chart already. Then another fourth is USDC, the blue. Then I put together USDS and DAI, so the two make a stablecoin, and there's this little yellow blip on top of the blue line. And then you see what's remaining, the gray zone, is the whole rest of the market, minus USDC, USDT, DAI, and USDS. So really, the others are like about 10% of the total market, other than those four. So reasoning by market cap or liquidity is not so interesting if you want to see what's happening. And that's a bit of what makes this analysis so hard but so interesting.
By the way, if we stay on the market cap for a minute, like what differentiates Pharos from DeFi Llama, for example? If I want to learn about stablecoin market.
I mean, again, what differentiates, like market cap, DeFi Llama will probably give it to you better. I'm using their data, but what differentiates is all this qualitative data, the collateral, the proof of reserve, the jurisdiction, the categorization, all the analysis done on stablecoin. It really is focused on the stablecoin. I will not list anything else.
So basically, if I try to understand this, Bryce, mostly Pharos is a tool to really like be able to do deep explorations of
Yes, and
like,
discovery as well.
yeah,
Discovery as well.
discovery for sure, and also like all the general data aggregated in one place rather than going and search all over for it.
Exactly.
But also, like, okay, if you really want to start digging in, you've built an instrument here that really allows to notice something about this stablecoin and then just click a button and get all sorts of new like data about it and like references and like matches to other. Incredible, man. It's
Wait,
incredible.
you haven't seen it all yet, because one feature I find very useful too is this compare tool, because essentially you can use it.
Oh, wow.
You pick a stablecoin you know well. So I don't know, maybe you know well USDS. You're familiar with the risk you're taking when you're holding USDS, so you will put it here. But then you pick one you just heard about on Twitter, like one I didn't know so much before. Pharos was Falcon USD. And oh no, sorry, I picked the wrong one. Asterisk, what the fuck is that? Falcon USD, USDF. And now it kind of gives you an overview immediately. I mean, market cap. Wait, it's Asterisk again. Oh, did I have? Do I? I found a bug in my. Oh no, I just misclicked. No. Oh wait, I think I have. Oh, okay, I have a bug in this feed. Let's pick another coin. I will fix that right after the stream. So let's say you don't know USD, right? And you want to compare it to DAI,
Right,
to
it's
USD. I will fix it. You can essentially run the comparison tool, and it will give you a quick overview of the two. So cross market cap chart and cross safety score, so you can kind of see how they compare to one another. I find this pretty handy for discovery, and you can do even make some suggestion on the basic. Like, I don't know, for instance, a gold stable. You've heard there is some gold stable, but you're not aware of the compromise between them. You can run a quick check, and essentially, we all know, I guess, on Pax Gold and Exalt, this co is a bit less known. Kinesis Gold, it's growing, as you can see in the chart below. It's not the size of the other biggies, but still, for 400 million market cap, so it's not a small gold coin either. And you can clearly see on the chart though that essentially the liquidity is really not at par with the rest. The liquidity is relative to the size of the market cap. Okay, so you can have a 30 million coin doing very good on the liquidity score, so you don't have to account for that. But you see the pattern of his chart really shows you, okay, this thing is pretty much like the others on the other dimension, but damn, in terms of liquidity, it's really faulty. And then using the tool a bit further, you can pretty quickly understand the difference between Xalt and Paxgol, for instance. So I guess since those ones are centralized, the key information will be here. So XOT is Salvador's jurisdiction, independent audit. Okay. If you check Pax Gold, yeah, you will find different information.
So you treat Pax G and XAUT, for example, as stable coins as well?
They are stable coins, just pegged to something else. Yeah, that's another thing about Pharos. Pharos doesn't care about your peg. We're tracking 14 different pegs here.
Ah, wow. What else, for example?
You want some euro? I have plenty of euros. Maybe we go in the main chart. It's clearer there. Oh, did I? Yes, yeah. So for instance, you can sort the chart by euro, and I have pretty much all the euro stablecoin that matters. So once you sort it by euro, and then you want the peg score in euro, I mean, some are pretty limited size. Maybe the best liquidity would be more interesting. USC is topping the chart here. But peg-wise, it's not doing so good, surprisingly. Not like the big brother USDC. We tracking franc Suisse. There is a couple of coins. The pounds, couple of coins as well. And then I have a broad other category because in there I have Japanese yen, I have Canadian dollar, Australian dollar. This is Singapore, but I'm not sure of the name. Brazilian currency. This is South Africa currency. The FPI, the Frax Price Index, which is tracking CPI. There is another tracking CPI as well. This is yen again, Philippine currency, and this is a silver tracking stablecoin with a decent cap as well, about 300 million.
It's so cool because it's actually a way to discover new stablecoins of stuff that you didn't know have a stablecoin even.
Mm-hmm. And I think one of the features I got a bit of traction on Twitter today because this one is really cool. It's essentially I should have called it the stablecoin undresser because this is what it is, right? So in here you will put some stablecoin, like you put your wallet, like your. I don't want to do connect wallet, so you have to input manually because I don't want to manage wallet connections or things like that. But let's say we talked about USD AI, so let's put it in here. We put ESNA, we can put some Frax, the guys must know, the new one. And what else can we put in there that is fun? Maybe Go. Okay, then you put some amount. Let's do just a 50,000 portfolio of each. So it's simple. And essentially, it undresses your stablecoin. So what is your effective exposure if you hold 50,000 of USDE, of USDAI, of Frax USD, and of Go? Well, you have about 50% of major centralized stablecoin exposure. So USDC, USDT, and Co. You have about 5% of DAI, 15% of ETH liquid staking, and then 14% of treasury bill. Those are the main exposure. And you can see the detail if you want, like the whole decomposed exposure. But I find it regrouped by category, it's even more interesting. So you can quickly see the stablecoin that are just wrapping T-bills and other centralized stablecoin essentially. We can put the USDF in there. What else could be interesting? This cap USD that everybody was talking about, but now is getting destroyed.
By the way, Bryce, it makes me think of another question I want to ask you. Like, will people be able to customize this for themselves? Meaning, like, let's say I have these like 10 stable coins that I really want to track all the time, and I don't really care about most of the others most of the time. Will I be able to like create my own little?
That's a good question. To save a portfolio, essentially, have a kind of favorite list.
Something like
yes, that would violate one of the design principles that I have so far. Is I don't give a fuck about who my users are. I don't keep any data on user. Just have basic analytics on the website, and that's good to learn. So I have to think about it. But potentially, yes, that wouldn't be too much work.
Yes, I was muted. I actually think that some people will want this kind of stuff just for convenience reasons. Now, and also, I don't know if you've noticed, but there was this comment here.
Oh, I don't have
Jean-Philippe. I hope Bryce will keep it free because it is highly valuable tool. And
no, there is no plan to monetize this. Okay, I will give you my my long-term game on this one. Is you know that I'm building Polaris, right? And Polaris is a maximally resilient stablecoin that will also be able to output stablecoin against any asset. Well, you kind of get the long term of Pharos essentially right there, not to shield Polaris, but essentially to show the weaknesses of the market that Polaris is solving. That's kind of how I see the end game. So you can track any currency, and you can clearly get a sense of the centralization of coins and their dependency on other coins. Everything that, essentially, to put it another way, I think if we do our job right with Polaris, PUSD is an A plus, and all the P assets are going to be A plus. But I'm not going to tweak the rating to make PUSD an A plus. This rating is automated. It's just Polaris design stablecoin this way. That's kind of how I view it. Yes.
That's so cool. So we actually say that all the tokens that you are going to issue through you or others, because it's going to be permissionless, as far as I understand,
yes,
are going to issue using Polaris. You say because of the design, will automatically get the highest grades on such a tool.
So not automatically, because for instance, the peg stability, they have to build a bit over time. The liquidity, they will have to be able to attract enough liquidity to do that. But if they are able to do that, in terms of the dependency with the decentralization and the resilience, they will already fare pretty well, like LUSD or BOLD or CRVUSD are faring off FRXUSD on that regard. Because they are using low risk collateral, they're fully on chain, they don't have blacklist, they don't have governance, they have no dependency. So all those metrics are reflected in the coin. And I'm pretty happy about the safety rating, because again, if you think about it, it's quite insane that the same, this is one rating, and on this rating, what do you find on top? You find BOLD, but right next to it, at the same grade, you find USDC. So, it's the two, they couldn't be more opposed, and you see it in the shape they have. But each in their own way, they find a way to score that rating and do well there.
Yeah.
BOLD because of its resilience, decentralization, and so on, and USDC just because of its freaking massive liquidity and overall, apart from the SVB event, pretty good peg history.
This is actually a very interesting observation, because someone like you, especially me, when I look at someone like you, I know that you in general would prefer a stablecoin like BOLD to a stablecoin like USDC. But it's very nice to see that you've created this objective metric that actually shows that history actually says that, USDC is kind of great so far.
And interesting patterns emerge here. So I was just showing a Frankencoin. Very few people know about this stablecoin.
Shout out Frankencoin, of course.
It deserves more to be more known because by your ranking, it's top 10 of all the stablecoin. And there are stuff like Go or Tether Gold or
again. Where did you say that? I have to tell Johannes about this. Like, where 10. Did you say that it's top 10? But top 10 in what?
Safety rating. So safety rating is an aggregate of pretty much everything. And the reason it's there is because it has pretty decent peg stability, although not perfect. The liquidity is also another point where it's losing a bit. But then just like a BOLD or an LUSD or CRVUSD, it's doing well in terms of resilience, decentralization, and it has no dependency risk. So all those dimensions are kind of pushing the scoring upward. Essentially, I guess my whole point is like the scoring has been built in a way that, you don't have, there is not one design to top that rating. It's more about like, what are your strengths and are they strong enough to allow you to emerge?
What's like, where does the combination of your traits actually take you rather than the traits that you may try to emphasize or market or talk about?
Precisely. And the only trait that will prevent you from ever reaching the top of this rating is the peg. So like, if you don't have at least a decent capacity at keeping peg, you will never be able to top the rating, no matter what else you do. But all the others, again, we have good example here, they're possible to top even if you're pretty bad at it. So obviously, USDC is not very decentralized, but still the way it's designed, it's still able to top the rating because of that. And it's also losing points in resilience because resilience account for the blacklist capabilities, which, blacklist is very active on USDC.
Let's move to blacklist in a minute, actually. I actually want to ask you about, like, can you compare USDT and USDC, which are like, in a way, they're like very much like the two big brothers of the industry. And it's actually very now when I think about it, it's actually going to be very interesting to see what are the actual differences between these
So
two.
they're very close. You can see here on the chart overlap. So USDT is doing a
This is
bit.
like them being one on top of the other.
Yes. So
Okay.
USDT
Yeah.
is a
Wow.
bit
It's almost
better.
like I don't know the word in English for this.
Yeah, they're almost identical in shape. The main difference
Yeah.
you see here is just USDT is a bit better at keeping peg, has a better peg score than USDC. There are a few factors here, but main one is the major depeg event that there was on USDC on the SVB weekend, and also the fact that the peg score is conscious of the coin history. So it's a question of how many days were you depegged over the whole course of your history, and how bad was the depeg? And essentially here, USDT has simply a bigger track record. It's an older coin than USDC. So it's also a factor there. Simply over time, it's been at peg a bigger amount of the time that USDC was. You can see this on the detail page. So USDC has been 99.8% at peg overall, and USDT will be higher, 100% at peg. It's a rounding up because it's just a depeg event on USDC. At the end of the day, not so. There is a decent amount, but you notice how there hasn't been a single one since 2023, and they were very quick one. Versus the recency of the event is also a factor, So I didn't want to punish
Cool.
a stable coin like Dollar, for instance. Dollar has been having big peg issues back in the days, but now he's doing much better on the peg. And so Dollar has a 76 peg score. Because
Cool.
if you look
Because
at the
actually,
depeg history,
the longer it's been since it has issues,
exactly.
the better, basically. Like
There is a
having
bit
an
of the
issue,
decay factor
having an
over
issue
time.
2 years ago is not like having an issue yesterday.
Exactly, you get it. Maybe something has been fixed since. And the still
Amazing.
it's the peg like 50 bps right now, so it's
And
not
also
perfect
like
at
the
peg.
duration of the peg and like how
Of course.
big the peg was, like all these different metrics try to like are able to shed a lot of light and separate between each depeg and like another, not just like a 0 to 1 thing, it either depegged or not, which is too shallow of an observation. This is a very cool tool. Let's see what Alice asked you. Shout out Alice, of course.
Oh yeah.
You can wave your way through.
Yeah. No, that's a good point
with
by
your
Alice. Yeah. I
and make
forgot to
people
mention that.
bookmark their
Yes, just to show on screen. So if you make a portfolio on the portfolio page, I forgot. Alice knows my feature better than me. It's always amazing with Alice. So one thing that is interesting here is you see I've made whatever portfolio. It doesn't matter. But you see the URL as I'm adding a coin is changing. So if I add this World Liberty Fi and I put an amount, it will also change. So what that means is this URL, you can share it with friends and they will immediately get the portfolio. But also for you, you can just bookmark this. You can make your portfolio once, bookmark it, and then it's good. It's exactly the feature you were asking me about, like saving a portfolio. It essentially replicates the same, and I don't have to store user data. Yes, fuck GDPR. Fuck, yeah, no, not fuck GDPR. I love all
and I'm going to
regulators,
be
and
able
the
to,
European Commission is doing an amazing job. I love von der Leyen.
but I'm going to also be able to do it without being as savvy as Alice.
Yes, again, you just go on the portfolio page. You, like a little monkey, just put your coin, whatever, you put your balance,
Great.
and then look at the URL on top. It changed. So you bookmark this. Up, bookmark bar, and now you have in your bookmark bar your portfolio. And if I click this link, okay, let's go somewhere else just to show you. Now I click my bookmark that we just made, and up I have the portfolio that I just made. So it's as simple as making your portfolio and bookmarking it.
This is a very useful and impressive tool, Bryce, I must say. And
You haven't seen the best yet. I mean, you've seen a lot of the best. So this one is just a funny page, but I really like it. It's the cemetery. So it's a memorial to the dead stablecoins. It's pretty straightforward, But you will find all your dead stable here with a little epitaph on the tombstone and a bit more detail if you hover on the tomb. you can click one and it will bring you to a bit more data, and especially a link, like whatever article in crypto media or whatever I was able to find to give you a bit more context. I know the funniest part is if you really miss a given stablecoin, so let's pick wisely. Which one did we miss? Bean. It was an algorithmic experiment, kind of gone too soon. You can just hover on it and press F, and you populate the tombstone with little flowers as a way to pay respect. Yeah, you can tell I had fun here.
Ay, that's crazy stuff.
So it's just for fun, but it's pretty good to see a bit. Yeah, maybe
But by
what's
the way, if
interesting.
someone does it, like the flowers, they stay there, like in.
No. It's
It's
just
only
for your
Friday.
session. Maybe I should put a tracker to see which is the stablecoin the most
Yeah,
remembered.
which
So
gets
that's
the
next
most
step.
flowers, which should get like a revamp at some point.
What's interesting too is there is some data on those that stable, because for each I have their market cap at peak. That's what I take. Not the market cap at the moment they exploded, but at peak. Sometimes the explosion is at peak. Sometimes it's not necessarily correlated with the peak. But what's interesting is cumulative value destroyed is not so interesting, because essentially you have a few major stablecoin like UST and BUSD that are those big step on the chart, and they make most of the chart. But you can see the cause of this by count and by market cap. So it gives you an idea of like what are the likely cause of death of a stablecoin. So in terms of consequence, so number of market cap of the stable when it blows up, algorithmic failure, mostly because of UST, of course, and regulatory because of BUSD. By count, it's a bit more distributed, liquidity drain, counterparty failure, algorithmic, and just abandoned stablecoin. And regulatory is more rare, only 2 stablecoin killed for regulatory reason, the ERT and the BUSD essentially. So I found it pretty interesting, because so many are worried about the regulation on stablecoin, and at the end of the day, if you look at the debt discount, you should worry about other things than regulatory if you're looking to build something resilient.
Yeah, you have some other obstacles other than
Yes.
regulation on your tokens, it seems.
So
Although with the regulation, it's also like a
oh,
trade that I'm not sure we dived into yet. The blacklist
Oh,
feature.
the blacklist. I mean, we went through it quickly. It's maybe not the most interesting. It's just tracking all the blacklist event, but then it's used to compute other things. I'm building on top of this. So this data is very reliable. It's a mature function. It was one of the first I built. But it's really just like a blacklist tracker. You'll get some stats on the blacklist. I'm also monitoring the activation of the USDS blacklist. If ever activated by governance, you will get a ping, things like that. But apart, if you're really interested to know like which is the most blacklisted or whatever, you can check the data, but it's mostly used for the computation. Maybe I'll put this page a bit lower in the future. One feature that I really like is this daily digest.
Cool.
And so essentially, it's getting better and better, because as I'm building more indicator on Pharos, I'm instructing the prompt with very good context to use those indicators to make good commentary. And it's pretty funny, actually. So it wasn't today, but let me I think it was this one. It roasted LUSD just a few days ago. Let me try to find the. I saw it. I read it on Twitter. I was like, "What the hell?" I think it was one of. Let me find the exact one, because it was so fun.
And this is something that actually it posts daily, according
It
to
posts
like.
daily, yes. Maybe it's a March one. Yeah, maybe this one. Oh my God, where is the LUSD roast? So it will comment on the PSI, on the main DPEG of the day, the one that restored peg, and so on, and the big movers in terms of market capitalization. And the cool thing is, over time, it's building kind of a journal of the stablecoin market.
This is the kind of stuff that people will want to be updated with every day. This is also, by the way,
Exactly.
what you've opened the TG group for, if I understand correctly. No?
Yes, you're right.
And also, this is probably stuff that you're gonna post on the Pharos X account.
Yes, it's already automatic. It's posted every day on the X account, but I'm more limited in space on the X account, so it's better on Telegram if you're interested in those recaps.
Like API things then wants money and stuff like that.
Yeah, on Twitter you pay per tweet, and also you just don't have much room. So yeah. Oh, there was another roast of LUSD, but I wonder if it's not one of the recap that I was shooting for test that I had to delete. But here it's talking about LUSD. Yeah, it's
Man,
talking about how it's a posture, not a crisis. Uh, and kind of roasting the liquidity there as well of LUSD, which is I guess fair. The liquidity is not
yeah,
great.
it's actually correct. No, like
Yeah, no, that's the thing.
they've always said that LUSD might have like in a way the perfect decentralization, but it just doesn't scale to be big enough.
So yeah, those recaps are pretty cool. They're getting refined over time. I still need to plug the latest indicator into them, but essentially I'm pretty conservative with the recap. I wait for a feature to be mature enough before I actually connect it. So methodology is mostly for the geek amongst you who wants to understand really how it works under the hood, how everything is computed. I try to do little graph with Claude to explain to you a bit high level how the things works, and you can have the math behind each formula. So it will be pretty interesting in that sense. Um, before we get into the experimental, there is one thing that I haven't shown yet that is pretty cool. So if you go back on the safety score, we have the ratings here, right? But what you can do, because I have the dependency map of all the coins, is you can simulate a crisis on a given coin. So what if USDC goes in crisis and is downgraded to an F grade? This one gives you the whole list, but more interesting is this simulates the impact. So there is a light impact.
Wow! So it shows me what will happen to other
What
stable
is
coins who
growing,
are
essentially.
dependent on it.
Yes. So
If
you can
something breaks over there, like who else will be fucked by the
So
cyber?
you see, for instance,
So cool.
USDS and DAI, they get hammered. They go from a B to a C immediately because of the PSM that impacts them severely. This Falcon USDF, same thing.
This is so cool.
And here you have the whole list of the damages, essentially. You can do this for the main ones, so we can downgrade USDT to an F. And same thing, CRV-USD is slightly impacted, but not so much because it's only one of the 4 assets for the peg keepers. But if we scroll, we're going to find some more. It's a bit rarer. Alchemix is taking a hit. United Stables, USDD, the Tron thingy, or USBD, the Blast stablecoin, EUSD, Honey, and the list goes on Gate USD, Avalon, and so on. You have the full list here of what's getting affected. But yeah, this is pretty cool. I thought so.
I agree. This is an amazing tool to play with, actually, and to really like explore about like maybe it's the easiest way to understand if your token is dependent on something or not. Like if you just like
that and the map. But yeah, the map is only for the top 51, so this is pretty cool. And yeah, just to finish, and then we can chat more freely, I guess. This is still very experimental. Check the menu on top. So this one is literally reading test in prod. So this is what it is. I shipped this yesterday, I think. But essentially, this is going to use all the data I have about safety of a stablecoin and cross it with yield, the best source of yield, and then essentially produce a kind of
wow.
risk-adjusted yield metric. So what's pretty interesting is you have already kind of several patterns emerging there. Because if you look at the top, for instance, the top 4 of the ratings, you have Bold because it has a pretty good API over the last 30 days, almost 10%, and a pretty good safety grade. So overall, this composite ranking is performing well. But right below him, you have this weird fucking coin with a C minus, but paying 23% API over the last 30 days, and so it's getting almost the same rating as Bold. And this is some kind of they tokenize a trade on the Turkish lira. So like you look at the fucking size of his reserve. It's like 50% is some proprietary tracking technology on the Turkish lira, and 40% is some mostly risky DeFi protocol. So it's like it's a bit funny, but still, because the yield is so good, it's doing well. Uh, and then you have this FD First Digital USD. It's a bit of a similar situation. You have good yield in yield in lending right now, and the coin is a bit safer than this previous one. So overall, it's doing pretty well. Funny thing is as well, I have the blue chip rating that I'm fetching here, and my safety score, which are computed, they're not manual review. They mostly align with blue chip, or they're really not that far. So liquidity is an A minus at the board is an A minus on blue chip, and I have B plus here. If you take USD, it's a B plus on blue chip and a B plus on my system. This one is where it diverges the most on USDT. They see it as a D, and it's a B plus on Pharos. But no, they don't have Sky Dollar, but they have DAI, I think. DAI is a B plus on blue chip and a B on the safety rating. So it's kind of crazy, like convergence of brain in a way. Except the blue chip brain is a very manual, like DeFi scan like process, manual
Yeah,
review, and this is more like data driven, purely data driven.
that, that's actually very interesting and different approach. Can you also just like see a more naked version of yield? Like if I
No,
just
no. You go on fucking DeFi Llama for that. I'm not DeFi Llama. If you're just looking for yield and you want no context, you go on DeFi Llama.
I see. So it's like only like the risk
Risk.
just
Risk is the connecting thread.
Mm.
And, this is kind of because I need to have a scope, else I will go a bit crazy. This one is going to be very interesting, but it's still populating. It will need another maybe 12 hours to finish populating. But it's essentially, right now, it's computing the history of the whole mint and burn activity of those 10 coins that I use as my testing. And then I might increase coverage. So you can already see the data from here. So you see it's up to the data of 180 days ago now. So it still have a bit of work to do, but every single mint burn event. And then I will have an idea of like, what's a normal day in terms of minting and burning on those stable coins, right? On the USDC, on the USDT, for instance. And then I can detect essentially the spike of minting of activity or the spike of burning activity. So that gives me perspective on essentially a bank run type of scenario, if I can detect a spike of burning activity. And essentially all of this feeds back into the beautiful Deuce, the DPEG early warning system. This will serve as a signal for that system eventually. So everything kind of connects together. It's just, still a bit work in progress, but I still think it's already in a pretty interesting state.
Man, this is already one of the craziest tools I've ever seen in the space. And basically, you just built it all by yourself with cloud.
Exactly.
I think it's a testament not only to the abilities of cloud, but also to your savviness of what you wanted to do, and like the kind of metrics that you know that can and should be explored. So much respect, sir, for leveraging it to build such an incredible tool that I think can be useful to so many people in different levels in the space. And also, like you said, I'm pretty sure that it's gonna serve you whenever you want to demonstrate the power of Polaris once it's up.
Yes, that's kind of the idea. And meanwhile, I'm having a lot of fun, and I'm already using it. Like, I wake up in the morning, I check what the daily recap is saying, gives me good signal. I can have a browse through Pharos, fix a few bugs, to be honest, here and there, because I still find some. Um, yeah, and it's already useful in my in my daily, essentially. So it's accomplishing his job. By the way, when I don't know how many we are on stream, but I'm kind of capitalizing on this. Another very important feature, please, guys, is I will show you right now. Is you might have noticed this little feedback button at the bottom, right? Feel free to use it. It's the best way to report feedback. I know everybody loves to DM, answer random tweet. Hey, you should do this. That's cool. But you know what's even cooler is doing it through this form, because then it gets automatically, it creates a GitHub issue, and I can treat them kind of like step by step, gently, make sure I'm processing all of them, and I'm not missing one, and I don't have to have fucking post it all over the place. Like I can go. So in here, you can literally tell me about, bug report, data correction, feature request, and if you want to say something about the product that doesn't fit here, you can just use whatever. But at least, at the end of the day, it ends up in GitHub on the repo, and then I can pull request. Cool. I'll check that after.
So they just go to the feedback tab on
Yes.
the bottom
Yeah,
right.
this button, the
Press it.
feedback button. Yes. You type whatever and you submit. You don't have to touch GitHub at all. This will submit on GitHub, but this is what I use me as a backend. If you are familiar with GitHub, you can check here. Apparently, some people have already been making. I got my first pull request. I'm pretty happy about it. I need to check it later because yeah, it's fully open source. The whole code is on GitHub, so you can also
So
check that.
meaning if anyone wants to start trying and build it with you, they're invited to do
They're
so.
invited, yes. They can fork it. They can do what they want. There is already quite a few fork on the repo, so I'm iterating really fast. As you can see, there's been 1,300 commits in like 3 weeks. So if you fork, be mindful of that. You might fork the repo morning, and by the afternoon, there's been a lot of new features and things like that. And yeah, it's free for anyone to do what they want. Try to be a gentleman. If you're building an amazing feature, make it as a pull request so I can integrate on Pharos. If you're using Pharos data, please reference Pharos, basic decency like that. But for the rest, it's really what you want. And yeah, maybe some coins that are having problem in other services that are not so well processed. So this one is a bit of a shit one in terms of stability, but it's a it's a ruble stable coin. A bit of a controversial one, by the way, because the bank is sanctioned. The bank where the deposits are at.
It's issued by a bank and the bank is sanctioned.
Yes, but still, it's a half a billion stablecoin, and because it's ruble and ruble is a bit hard to work with, the data is not so well processed on other services. It barely has any
Where is
liquidity on
most of
Uniswap.
the liquidity? Is it on Ethereum mainnet or where? Tron? Where is it?
On Tron, it's like 98% of the supply is on Tron, but the liquidity, it's mostly off-chain. Essentially, it's used with centralized service. Oh, you pay with real rubber from a bank account, or I don't know what, you get this crypto
It's
rubber.
A7, A5 token. It's a ruble token.
Yes.
Oh my god! Sounds like the name of of a plane, basically.
Yeah, so you'll find if you go in the other section, you'll have, that was what surprised me the most, I guess, is when I saw, there is a Brazilian currency stablecoin at 200 million
Yeah, I was
cap.
actually told about that a while ago.
So,
Is it active though? Like, is there any activity going on there?
well, let's check. So it's doing a bit better than a
And
rubber
by the way,
coin.
do you also like see on here? Will we see like stuff like amount of holders, like the way it's distributed between
So
like
the market cap is picking up. I'm not referencing the amount of orders or things like that right now, but it's pretty easy to do because you have the contract address in a click, so you can just go on SSCAN and see, how many holders are there. If we go on the token tracker page, come on, SSCAN. Oh my god, so fucking slow. Okay, we'll give it a minute to load. But yeah, it has very minimal DEX liquidity. So I realize the scope of number of stablecoins that are very like centralized. Essentially one service is providing them. You can trade them on that exchange. If you're lucky, you can trade them for some crypto on the exchange. But most of the time, it's more like, hey, you come with your bank account, you buy the stablecoin against that exchange, you sell it against that exchange, and it's really just used for transfer or things like that. It's a model that is quite common for those alt-peg currency. And it's also, to be honest, a model of even commodities currency, like this Kinesis. They have an OTC order book exchange that is not well processed yet. I'm struggling a bit with this one. I need to double check. But I'll add a note for myself. Sorry, just a second, because else I would forget. Kinesis liquidity, and there was a bug with USDF. See, just going through it.
This is like
Uh,
what? This is a silver stablecoin?
This is a silver stablecoin, yes. And they're a bit annoying because even on the gold, you have different kind of peg for gold. I don't know if I still have them. Yes. So you can see here you have two tokens that have a price very different from the other. They're just because the XO Pax Gold and XO M are all on 1 ounce of gold. So about 29 grams, right? It's a freaking burger unit. So I'm not sure your burgers have weird freaking units. But Co and CGO are on 1 gram of gold. So that's why they have such a different price.
Okay.
Or something like that. But anyway, I had to do the freaking math and I just upload for that. Maybe you have the data featured somewhere, but it's accounted for. Uh, yeah, 1 gold bullion, 1 gram, 1 gram. And they have different finesse or whatsoever. And then the XOT, you can see, what does it tell you? Yeah, those are gold bars.
How much is a bar? An ounce?
No, it must be more than that. And you also have the condition for redeemability that very few people are known about. But for instance, for XOT, you need to have 430 XOT to redeem. So at current price, we're talking 2.5 milli. Huh?
Okay. So if you want to redeem, you need to have some XAUT.
Your size must be size if you want to redeem some XOT.
Yeah, you don't exactly come there and tell them, oh, listen, I have 0.01 XAUT. Can you
No, because it's
can
physical
you give
gold
me a tiny
delivery.
bit of gold?
So
They
yeah,
don't open the safe, the vault, unless your size is size, like you say.
exactly. Yeah. You need to have some size. Design is weird here. What is the block that is missing? Let me check on another coin. I did some design adjustment today, but it has no AI summary. Maybe that's why.
What an incredible!
Oh yeah, AI
advance.
summaries. I will do a double check. I've added a few coins and they're not. They don't have the summaries. Damn, I did. I have a change log already. Just going through it. But yeah, that's
This is
pretty
a
much
huge
it for all the features.
thing. This is a huge endeavor, really. So much data in there. Like someone can spend the entire day just exploring it, basically.
Yeah, it's consolidating a lot of things. So you can see here, but just a quick list: DeFi Llama, CoinGecko, CoinMarketCap, TechScreener. So all of this is used for price, liquidity, things like that. It use on-chain. I had a lot of trouble training Claude to that, but eventually we found our middle ground. Essentially, on-chain is fucking truth. If you have a doubt, you trust the chain. If you have CoinGecko saying 1,000 and the chain saying 100, the chain is right. This kind of thing. But so on-chain fetch through different ways. SSCAN and then Alchemy and DRPCs have several, and one for Tron as well, because a lot of stablecoin activities are happening on Tron, whether we like it or not, especially for centralized stable, and a lot of blacklisting for USDT, sorry, especially. And then I need the price of all the currencies that I'm tracking. So I'm using the essentially the European Central Bank data. Thank you, European Central Bank, through an API. For some other more exotic currency that they don't have, I found this API that is fit to use. I have an API for gold price. I'm also using the official data from the US Treasury through their official API to fetch a TB rate that is used to compute the risk-free rate here, essentially. And then what else? The DeFi Llama yields for sourcing and some information on the protocol. Also, because we are with the Llama, I need to give you that chart for the liquidity. Every single exchange is absolute shit when it comes to fetching their data, but for one, and its name is Curve Finance, because Curve Finance has an API, and that API is actually very good, very easy to use, no problem, and it allows you to do pretty cool things. So if we take a curve-heavy stablecoin, let's go back to CRV-USD. Essentially, what I'm able to do is I'm able to get data about the pools, TVL, volume, whatsoever, but also stuff like the R factor, the amplification factor, so how concentrated is the pool. And all of this is factored into the analysis of liquidity as well. For exchanges like Uniswap or Fluid, they don't have an API themselves, so I have to do some acrobatics with the graph or things like that, and it's much more painful. So it was really cool. I DM'd Michael when I started using the API. I was like, "Hey, bro, you really did a killer job on this API. It's absolutely amazing."
Man, where did you get all these? Did you just know to decide yourself on all these sources, or did
Ah,
Claude like tell you, man, let's use this source, let's use
So
that?
I knew about some, but then sometimes, for the gold price, I had no freaking idea what is a gold API, or to get price of rubble. Do you think I know an API to get price of rubble? So I launched Claude on a research mission. Okay, find all the free APIs that give me price of rubble and try to get a sense of, how many queries we can make. Are they reliable? Compare them with one another, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, that's the main thing. And yeah, one thing that is helping quite a bit too is I went with CoinGecko API subscription, because you have a lot of data on CoinGecko, and especially I needed the data. I needed to populate my data because essentially, initially, Pharos is built to watch, right? And it was watching the present, which means you would go on a coin and the market cap you would see just starting from mid-February when Faro started, and of course it's not an amazing behavior. So I needed to backfill the historical data, and to do that I went with the analyst plan, as they call it on CoinGecko, for just 1 month. Gives you access to 10 years of historical data. So I'm hitting that API like a motherfucker to essentially get all the data I can on the 10 years. And then my plan is to downgrade to just the pro version, which is already 30 a month. And that should be enough to cover the ongoing need now that the historical data is populated.
Very cool. What else do we need to know here, Bryce? Anything, any other specific traits that you want to share? Because man, I really think that we can go like we can do it all day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, we can wrap it up there. Just the feedback. If you find anything that is weird, that you think is not okay, bug, you think a stablecoin is missing, especially now, if you find stablecoins like that have a decent amount of history and that are missing, please tell me. Because I need to make the most of my 20 days that I have left with CoinGecko Analyst. For the rest, what else? Yeah, just if you like Pharaohs, talk about it. That's the best thing you can do. It's free. You pay with your love, care, share, likes, and attention.
Much respect for building such a tool and for free for everyone to use, and definitely recommend people check it out and do some exploring about the stablecoin landscape from a very deep angle. Pharos, PHAROS.watch. Man, what a brilliant move. Much respect to you for building yet another great tool. I must say I really admire you and your abilities and enthusiasm in building these tools that serve maybe even if it's exactly like you said, you build it for yourself first and foremost, but end of the day, these are tools that afterwards serve whoever wants it as well. And I think you're doing like a brilliant job at it, and it's a huge contribution for the space. Much respect, and I definitely am very curious to see when the Polaris tokens start coming out. I'm very curious to see how this system that you built here will objectively describe them and rank them.
Glad you like it, and thank you for having me on the show. I hope. I didn't check. Are we actually having some aping on the website? I should have checked when we were. Oh yes, we're definitely having some proper aping on the website. Man, you're moving traffic. I'm getting people from all over.
It's because of your Twitch account, man.
Canada, Norway, Brazil, Germany. It's like the whole world is tracking shit on Pharos now. That's nice.
Incredible. Yeah, we do have some. I actually think that most of the views are from your X account. I saw over 200 there. The Leviathan news with 177. My own with 46. And fewer for now on the YouTubes and Twitch, but you never know. You never know what it gets to. And actually, there's a lot of clips. I don't know if you're already clipping stuff, but we can definitely do some clips from this interview today. And I really think, by the way, that more and more people should explore the daily digest feature, for example, even just to get some stablecoin news and updates. I don't know if you've noticed, Bryce, I started doing just last week a show. It was the first episode with the Volts FYI guys. You know them?
Oh yes, I mean I know about Vault FYI. I don't know if I've talked with the guys
They're,
already.
they're actually great guys. I really like. I've actually talked to all three co-founders there, Ryan, Kaimi, and Tyler, who's been doing the show with me, and they're really great guys. And it's a very nice and useful tool. And they've actually also they've opened like this Telegram channel, which describes the vaults. Okay, like it takes a specific vault a day, and it shows you like,
Uh-huh.
okay, you see this vault, you put this, like the risk is this, the yield is coming from this. Basically, your trade-off is that you provide liquidity to lenders and blah blah blah. All this kind of analysis, and I really liked it, like the idea of it. And I actually talked to the guys and told them, guys, maybe we should start like this Volts report show where we can like take some of what you've been doing and just share it with the audience, like just explore some vaults, show some of the vaults that you've been mentioning during the week, the opportunities, some lessons from the week. It can actually be very cool for a lot of people, actually. So we had the pilot like last week. I had an interview with them for like 3 weeks ago for the first time, just to present Volts FYI in general, because I've heard great stuff about it, actually. And then last Thursday, we had this pilot for the first Volts report show. I actually think it's a very cool concept. I think people
I
can.
think so too, yes,
Yeah,
because
if you
there's
want.
so much stuff happening on this, always new Vault, and it's really hard to keep track. Yeah.
Exactly. And also, many people don't understand how this stuff works. You know what I mean? Like when you enter a vault, many of us, like, you're a very savvy user. I'm a very not savvy user. So me, I just see a yield number and I'm like, okay, do I want to take it? And do I feel it's safe enough or not? Like, it's not a very deep breakdown. But with people who actually know what happens on the back end, you can get a very interesting analysis of okay, like this is how this vault actually works, and do you want to take this risk? Do you see it as a risk, as an opportunity? And feel free to take it. I was just remembering it actually because I think that with what you've built here with Pharos, a very similar concept can be done, like with something that you
On
don't do.
Vault, yeah.
Like you can take like once a week for whatever, whether you decide to do it like with me, for example, on Leviathan, or whether you do it yourself or on wherever, but you can just like take lessons from throughout the week, like the stablecoin report, basically once a week or whatever, showing interesting
That's next
stuff.
step, actually. Once I stabilize the DGS, I was already in my plan, is to have a weekly recap, and essentially based on the data from all the week and the 7 daily recap. I think it's not such a big step to produce that. The problem is with all of that is I'm triggering Claude programmatically, so I'm paying per credit. But it's okay. It's a measurable cost. Right now, the DGS costs me 1 cent a day. I'm not using Opus. I'm using Sonnet. But I'll see. Maybe I'll put Opus once a week on a nice weekly summary, and it shouldn't be too much, maybe like 20, 30 cents, 50 cents per
And
summary.
again, I think you should explore the fact that, especially if you want more people to know about it, you can explore the idea of like doing like a show with that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Because people
Yeah.
often like to see this in a more human format.
You're right.
Of people discussing with them about what's been going on, and not just like getting like an output that is written whether by a person or AI or a lot of stats or whatever. Like people like to consume news. You know what I mean? Like they like to consume like media.
Yeah, media. I know. You're right.
Right?
Oh, whoa,
But
yeah.
right, it takes time. It takes effort. It takes time. It takes Other than doing like some other stuff, you need to do that. But actually, I really want to thank you for coming. Like, for example, I do think that it's important for Pharos for you to come on a show like this and present it. I definitely hope that some people will find it useful and will start exploring Pharos and use it for their needs because they see it here on the show. And man, much respect. Anything you want to add before we wrap it up and I send us away with happy Purim to everyone who celebrates?
No, I think it's good, man. I'm already getting some issues open on GitHub, some reports, so it seems like people are knocking in. Thanks to anyone who does that. Help me make Pharos better, and yeah, hope you enjoy it. Purim Sameach, and thank you for having me, man.
Thank you very much. Purim Sameach to everyone, indeed. And guys, feel free to follow Pharos Watch on X. Go and check out the website over there at pharos.watch. That's PHAROS.watch. You already know probably how to find Token Bryce on X and wherever. Follow Polaris Finance as well and check out what they're cooking over there and try to get yourself on the Polaris Pathfinders group if you're able to. And of course, I'm the advisor. Follow us at Leviathan News on our Telegram, on our X, on our YouTube. Like the videos wherever you are watching them. It really helps us grow the channels. And guys, thank you for tuning in. Thanks for joining, Bryce. Let me send us out with the amazing video by Arcus as well. And thank you for getting the Squid Pass, sir. We're going to have you pinned up there as soon as possible, as they say. Thank you so much for joining. My secret weapon in raising the auction price for the Squid Pass. Always, whenever he's available, no one can outbid. Rarely can someone outbid him, let's say. Okay, guys. Bye.
それはレバヤさんニュースだ。デセットライズだ。逃げろ。誰でもトトできる。誰でもスキルを稼げる。ガバナンスまでやる。中集権のメディアはもう終わりだ。
真相